Good morning. This is Roger Thunder, the Desert Shaman, coming back at you with another opinion, or let's say a understanding. Maybe I can give you a better understanding of something that I talked about in my previous video. I mentioned the fact that the intel was going south and getting harder to figure out what's going on. And then it dawned on me, of course, and I probably have covered this in videos who knows how many years ago or months ago or whatever, but I wanted to give you another take on that. Another take on the intel, or trying to find out what's going on, is really hard. And what dawned on me was George Orwell, good old George Orwell's 1984, where he spoke about a system called doublespeak. And he spoke about the ministry of truth, all right? Now, I read this book back in high school, and it blew my mind. It changed my whole life, really. And that would be a good time for people to read it in high school, or if you haven't read it, you should pick up a copy and reread it right now. What's going on here is what we call doublespeak. And doublespeak is exactly what we're seeing. They say something, the ministry of truth, which is the highest level of propaganda that controls the media here in the United States and mostly around the world. They have their own ministry of truths in Europe and elsewhere. They will say things that are 180 degrees from what they are. In other words, if somebody comes on and tells you about the economy, or if somebody comes on and tells you about the war that's going on in foreign countries, if somebody comes on and tells you something about health care, it doesn't matter what the subject is, you can be sure that it's 180 degrees just the opposite of what they're saying. In other words, it's a complete lie. It's a complete twisting around. And why shouldn't they do this? Because there's so many gullible people out there that just don't question anything, all right? And they go to this, they suck the tit of the mainstream media and other periodicals that are controlled, like the New York Times and the Washington Post and, Politico and Foreign Affairs magazine and on and on and on. You can name them all. Even Democracy Now! On KPBS is completely controlled. What they do when they get control of these things is they tell you lies, all right? And they tell you things that are diametrically opposed to what they really are, or let's say diametrically opposed to common sense. Common sense. A lot of the stuff they say doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they're lying. For instance, if you go to the grocery store and prices are all skyrocketing, right? And you notice meat's going up and this is going up and that's going up. Or if you get a bill through the mail and it is exceeding what it should be, or doubling or tripling, or if you get a rise in your insurance rates, or if you get a rise in your cable bill, then you realize as a consumer that things aren't going so well. Because most of this stuff should be, if you really want to know the truth about it, free. All right? Your communication privileges should be free. Should have been a long time ago. So you as a consumer realize, well, this is going up and that's going up and other things are going up. Life is getting harder to make ends meet, that type of thing. But yet some jackass fool comes on and on the mainstream media and tells you that things are better than they have ever been and things are looking up. And this is in all areas of life. I'm not just talking about economics. I'm just using that as an example. If they're telling you that everything's okay and yet your pocketbook is saying, everything isn't okay, everything is really bad and I'm having a hard time making ends meet, how long does it take for you to put two and two together and realize that everything that is being controlled or dispensed, everything that is being dispensed to you is a controlled psyop, a controlled propaganda machine, all right? You know better because you're out there living it and you are realizing that there is no reasonable explanation for this. In order to have doublespeak, common sense has to be thrown to the wind. You cannot use common sense with doublespeak because it doesn't make any sense. You can't make sense of anything with common sense because everything that is being hurled at you is not common sense. They don't want you to figure out what they're doing to you. Now, this applies in all areas. I'm not, like I said before, this is just not an economic thing. This pertains to all areas. So say you are getting information about the foreign wars that the United States is involved in. Ukraine and Gaza and back in Israel and Gaza and before then, Afghanistan and Syria and on and on and on and on. If they're telling you that they're on the winning side and that our military is the greatest military that ever hit the face of the earth, and if they're telling you that they're promoting democracy, in these other countries by doing what they're doing, by instituting wars, instigating wars, orchestrating wars, and then they're sending your taxpayer dollars to the tune of $100 billion, let's say, to like Ukraine, for example. Most people can't find Ukraine on the map. Most people don't even know what's going on in Gaza. They're too involved in their everyday lives trying to make a living. Slaves to the system, basically. And I've said this before, but if you want to know about what's going on in these countries, and if you want to know why your $100 billion of taxpayer money, more than that, if you want to know why the government is $30 trillion in debt, you're not going to learn it from anybody out there, except people that tell the truth. And most of those people are getting taken off the internet, or they're being squelched, or let's put it this way, it's harder to find that than it is the mainstream take. People are tuned into that condition to go with television instead of looking around on the computer for alternative viewpoints. So they go to television and they get what they deserve. They get what they deserve, which is complete nonsense, complete lies. I can't tell you how long I've been saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again just to keep you informed. That's my purpose, and it doesn't matter how many times I say it, or it doesn't matter. I have to say it a bunch of times. I have to drill this point home. I have to beat this drum. because it's my purpose to do that, number one, as a wisdom keeper. And you need to know this stuff. You need to know this stuff so that you can take action on some level. The buck stops with you, okay? The buck stops here. If you get an outrageous bill, if you get this or you get that, if you just sit there and are complacent and don't call those people up, no matter how hard it is to get to them, you're letting them screw you, basically. And you're letting them, it's not just you that's being screwed, it's your fellow man, okay? You have to realize, getting back to George Orwell, is that he was a prophet of doom in a way, okay? But not the kind of doom that, like the end of the world doom. His prophecy was of the doom of you living as a free person, the doom of you having to be subservient to a master, the doom of you having to be a slave. Now, when George Orwell wrote the book 1984, I don't know when it was written, that was way long time ago, way before 1984. Probably in the 30s or somewhere in there. But when he wrote 1984, that was a metaphor for the future. That wasn't not an exact date. It's not, it wasn't like, well, he was just writing from a futuristic viewpoint as to what was going to happen and what was going down, and to make you aware of it, the utopian society. Now, I've turned people on to the book 1984. I said, close friends and stuff, I've given them the book and I've told them, you should read this because this is exactly what's happening. And I've had some people go, start to read it and get back to me and go, oh, that's too depressing, man. That's too depressing, or I can't take that. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. Why don't you want to hear that kind of stuff? Why? Well, it's because you're afraid to admit that that's exactly what's happening right now. The truth hurts sometimes, all right? But truth is freedom. Truth is freedom, and it can be found in the pages of a book that is decades old sometimes. A book of prophecy, okay? So you got Orwell, and you got Nostradamus, and you got other people that saw things coming a long time ago, like Aldous Huxley, for example, Brave New World. There's another book that you should read if you haven't read. You need to get up to speed so that you can have the tools to be able to deal with this kind of stuff that's going on. Everything that you hear on the mainstream, let me impress this, is a lie. Okay, it's double speak. It's double speak, okay? And the best form of a lie is an outrageous lie. Something that is so unbelievable it's believable. If you get my drift here. Little lies, don't have as much weight as just an outright bold statement, a bold lie, okay? Because nobody thinks that's a lie. Why don't they think that? Well, they would never say that. They would never come out and just say something that is completely opposite of what's really going on. Why would they do that? That's naivete, is what that is. Or if you want to put it in slang terms, that's being a dumb fuck. Excuse my French. This is something that you need to know. This is something that has been going on for a long, long time and is being set up. Now, you might say, and I've said before, what's the agenda? What's the end game? What is it that they really, they want you to be a slave. They want to make money off you. They want to have complete control over you. It's indentured servitude. It's a form of that. But you don't have any choice. You never had a choice. Not really. This is something that has been instilled in society for a long, long time. Goes back to ancient times in the Anunnaki and the Babylonian history and ancient history. This goes way, way back. This is something that has been instituted through religion, politics. Organized religion is a form of, politics is a form of organized religion. Belief systems are a form of organized religion. Things such as this is a democratic society, or we're a capitalist society, and that's a good thing, and we need to spread this around the world. These are, flag and country, honor your country, fight for your country, put your butt on the line and die for your country. When in reality, the country doesn't exist. It's a big corporate machine. A big corporate machine. Natives knew this a long time ago, all right? They knew this a long time ago. They got the feel of it, up close and personal, all right? And you're getting the feel of it. Welcome to the reservation. Welcome to the reservation, because you're on it, and you're being exploited on every turn of the corner, and you're being extorted. You have to pay for things that if you can't pay for them, like let's say cable, or not cable, but Wi-Fi, or your insurance for your car, or and I'm dealing with this firsthand, just like everybody else is. You can't live without certain items, just like you can't live without a driver's license, or gas in your car, or water, or anything. There's certain things that they have conditioned this society to accept as normal when it's basically abnormal. Paying for energy, paying for a roof over your head, paying for just the basic necessities of life, sustenance, roof over your head, food on the table, and clothes on your back. Thankful, grateful be that you have these things. But they're making it harder and harder and harder. Basically what they're doing is they're trying to drive man back to a caveman status. Live in a cave. Hey, well, that might not be such a bad idea, living next to nature. Although people aren't conditioned for that. They are conditioned for being on the receiving end of easy stuff. An easier life. Okay, that's all well and good. But that easy life is an illusion. It's another lie. It's another doublespeak, all right? Because they got you into this condition doesn't mean that you can't recognize it and get a different mindset about it. Get a different mindset. And that mindset is, when you're faced with anything like this, whether it's rising bills or grocery or anything, don't pass the buck, or don't turn the other cheek. Stand up, get a backbone, all right? Get on the phone and let whoever it is know, whatever company it is, know, or even if you're at the grocery market, let them know that you see what's going on and you don't like it. And you got their number. And you know exactly what little games they play, all right? Now I'm going to give you an example, just an example of how they use the same rhetoric and the same line of bullshit with every corporate company there is in regards to raising your rates or whatever. So let's take insurance rates, all right? First-hand experience here. If your rate goes up and you call them up and say, wait a minute, this rate went up twice in the last 3 months here, what's going on? This isn't what I bargained for. This isn't the contract I made. You made a contract with them, and they're breaking that contract. It's legal, all right? So if your rates go up and they say, well, you know, they'll give you some line like, well, there's been an increase of accidents in the state of Nevada or the state of California or wherever you're at. And so we have to, you know, the rates have to go up. Now, here's where common sense comes in, all right? If there's been a lot of accidents and you're a good driver and you got a good record and you've been with a company for a certain amount of time and paid your bills on time and all that stuff, if there's been an increase in accidents by crazies and loonies who probably took the COVID shot and are crazy out of their mind, don't know why, crashing into each other, why should you pay for their ineptitude? Why should you pay for people that are just batshit crazy and driving around running into each other and racing on the freeways and that type of thing? Why should you pay? You shouldn't. That is called extortion. And here's another thing. If they say that there's been an increase in accident rates in Nevada, research it. Or your state, research it. Find out, has there been an increase in accidents in my state? Is this justified by any way, shape, or form? But people don't do that. Oh, my rate went up, and they bellyache and they scream and they, you know, they might get angry at their wife or whatever, but they don't get on the fucking phone and call that person and let them know that you know what's going on. And this should be done in all areas of your life. Like I said again, even going into the grocery store or drugstore or whatever, let people know, all right? They're doing all kinds of illegal things and they're giving you the same line. Well, it's because these other people, that's the line they give you. It's because other people have abused the system and other people are getting into accidents and car parts are going up and on and on and on and on, all right? This, even if there were drivers that were bad, that shouldn't be passed. If it's a nationwide company, it shouldn't be passed on to one person in one state. It should be alleviated by all the other states, or integrated or absorbed, okay, into the system so that everybody gets treated fairly. But for insurance companies to explain, or any company to explain to you, well, the cut, it's a higher cost. Do you realize how much money these people are making? Do you realize how much money insurance companies are making? Do you realize how much money communication systems are making? And strangling you, squeezing you dry? These are things that you need to be aware of and stop the buck with you. This is George Orwell's 1984. It's probably worse than George Orwell's 1984, although I think he pretty much nailed it as far as the doublespeak goes. Being lied to continually, being given answers that are pat answers that you can't figure out whether that's true or not, Is it true that this and this happened? Is it true that, there's an increase in accident? Is it true that, other people are abusing the system, so you got to pay for it too? What's the reasoning behind that? So anyway, this is an example. I got inspired today by watching certain things, and And it did come to me, that just that one word, which I've talked about George Orwell before. I've talked about Aldous Huxley in past videos, but I'll keep talking about it again because there's always new viewers and there's always new people and there's always, sometimes if you don't get it the first time, you might get it the second or third time. Repetition of truth is important right now. That's why this tribe, this channel, this wisdom keeper will keep doing that so that you get the truth ingrained, you get, what's really happening ingrained instead of what's not happening ingrained in your head. Instead of all the crap that you see around you that you just can't believe, or you're astounded by, yet you still believe it. So anyway, this is just, consider this a counseling session from Thunder, a passing on or a dissemination of information to you so that you'll really understand what's going on here. This is about your life, and this is important to you. Now, having said all that, I'm going to sign off, but if you want to contribute to this channel or donate, I'm going to put the links down, or if you want a reading which from me, a personal counseling session or a card reading or anything like that from me, personal advice, I'm putting the links down there where you can get that done. You should consider it. Support your tribe and support the shaman of the tribe and support the leader of the tribe and just support the whole tribe. And by doing that, you allow at least some kind of voice in the wilderness to be heard. All right, I'll leave it there. Wopila, aho.